progress.
Okay, good evening everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abayim. Welcome everyone. We're continuing our series of shiurim, which are generously dedicated by Dr. Zakim Mishpachta, Lila Nishmas of Shom Eliezer, ben Rabbi Yaakov Zakim, Lila Nishmas Rivka Bas Tzvi HaLevi, Rav Dov ben Rabbi Yaakov Tzvi HaKohen. The shiurim of Chodesh Adar are dedicated by the Yom Tobian family of Great Neck in memory of Miriam Bas Rachel, whose 12th yahrzeit is Tes Zayin Adar. Tonight's share is dedicated by Ms. Chani Fanfeder, who's chutz for the return of Alon ben Idit. He returned to his family safe and well. Bekarov, Be'ezos Hashem. Tonight's share is dedicated by Shimon and Suri Shamel Zada in honor of their daughter's engagement. And they should be Zeichel Livnei Sbayis Nam B'Yisrael L'Shem Ol Tefaras. Mazel Tov. Okay, we have an amazing shir tonight. We're almost there. The second to last shir before Purim. And as we get closer to Purim of course is Kabbalas HaTorah. Now before we start, I just want to make sure that everybody has your important material for the Yom Tov of Purim. So make sure you have the Concealed and the Revealed. It's available in Sfarim stores. You can get it at artscroll.com. And not only that, but back in print is the small edition of the Concealed and Revealed, because this fits right into your Shalach Manas. In other words, you have the bottle of wine, you have your Hamantash, but do you have your miniature Concealed and Revealed? That's the big question. Also, the Sefer Magid Kiyam Purim is back in print. It's available in Sfarim stores or on our site with free shipping. Okay, there's a very interesting halacha regarding Sudas Purim. So we know that there's a lot of discussion about what time Sudas Purim is this year, but in terms of how it starts, the Ramah tells us, Toiv lasoik ma'at b'Torah kodem sheyascha Suda. It is good to engage a little bit in learning before the Suda begins. Before you start your Suda, you should learn something. So many people, they walk into their Suda, they're already a little tipsy, a little bit lightheaded, but make sure you start your Suda with a little bit of learning. V'semach l'davar, the hint to this practice, la Yehudim haisa oira v'simcha. The Jews had light and joy. Oira is Torah, and after Torah, then Oira v'simcha, then you could have the Suda. So before you get started, you should learn something. Now the Ramah doesn't say what to learn. What are you going to learn? You don't have to do the Concealed and the Revealed. You could do the Haggadah. You could do any sefer you want. You could learn whatever you want. The Ramah does not legislate what should be learned. However, there's another interesting halacha. The other halacha is that you start learning Hilchos Pesach before Pesach 30 days. That's the beginning, the first halach in Hilchos Pesach. Shoyalin behilchos Pesach kaidul Pesach shloshim yom. Says in Mishabura, so if you start learning Hilchos Pesach before Pesach 30 days, when do you start learning Hilchos Pesach? Mishabura says, Maschilam yom Purim atzmai, you start on Purim itself. So it comes out, there are two reasons to learn on Purim. One, before you start your Suda, you want to begin with learning, and the remez is La'Yehudim Haisa Oira V'Simcha, first Torah, and then the Suda. And number two, there's another reason to learn on Purim, because you have to start learning Hilchos Pesach before Pesach 30 days before. So you have two independent obligations to learn on Purim. Number one, to learn before Sudas Purim. Number two, to learn Hilchos Pesach on Purim. Comes Reb Shlomo Kluger in his Tshuvos, Ha'elaf L'cha Shlomo, in Archaim Siman Shin Pei Dalet. He says, well, if there's a mitzvah to learn before Sudas Purim, and there's a mitzvah to learn Hilchos Pesach before Pesach 30 days. So says Reb Shlomo Kluger, you could kill two birds with one stone. You know, it's not like you have to learn twice. You need to learn before the Purim Suda begins. Number two, you need to learn Hilchos Pesach. So if you combine the two, learn Hilchos Pesach before the Purim Suda. Okay? Ad kedei kach, that learning Hilchos Pesach is so important on Purim that, you know, if there is something called like a totem pole. There's an order of priority when it comes to answering shilas. So let's say, you know, the rabbi's sitting there at the shtender, and let's say it's Tu B'Shvat, and two people come with a shaila. One guy has a shaila about Tu B'Shvat, one guy has a shaila about Lag BaOmer. So which one gets precedence? You answer Davar Yafa B'ita. You answer the one that's asking a timely question, the one that's asking some Fardreita shaila, then he doesn't have priority. You have two guys. One guy, it's an end of life issue. He's about to go. He wants to know. The other guy has a question about his grandson who wasn't born yet, bar mitzvah. So which one do you answer? If you answer the guy is about his grandson's bar mitzvah, when his son wasn't even born yet, the guy who has an end-of-life issue, he's going to already be in the Olam HaEmes by the time you get to him. So it's always important to know which shaila you answer first. So Rav Shlomo Kluger says, on Purim itself, if you have two people asking a shaila, one has a shaila about Megillah, or Mishlach Manos, or Matanos Avim, he has a Purim shaila. The other that has a Pesach shaila, which one has precedence? Do we say, Purim obviously, today's Purim, or do you say, the obligation to start learning Hilchos Pesach before Purim is learnt out of a pasuk? It's midoraisa maybe it's biblical to learn Hilchos Pesach 30 days before Pesach. It's by Yidaber Moshe Mayadei Hashem Lebnei Yisrael. We learn it out from Psukim perhaps, and therefore maybe Hilchos Pesach is so important on Purim, it even has priority over Hilchos Purim. Bottom line is, here it is, you're about to start your Purim Suda, and there's a lot of good food coming. You have an entree, you have an hors you have a soup, you have an entree, you have dessert. Whoa, wait a second, we have to learn Hilchos Pesach. I mean, is that a reasonable thing to do? Is that going to put you in the Purim mood to start off the Purim Suda with Hilchos Pesach? Wait a second, yeah, right. Everyone's all joyous about all the food that's coming. So just to make sure that, your wife's in a lousy mood before the Purim Suda starts, you remind her that the second that this is over, we have to start scraping the chairs, Which halacha are you going to learn? Yeah, that we have to remove the floorboards to make sure there's no chametz underneath. Why? What's the appropriateness of learning Hilchos Pesach before Sudas Purim? I understand you have to learn Hilchos Pesach 30 days before. I understand it comes out on Purim, but that should overtake the entire Purim Suda, that the Purim Suda should begin by learning Hilchos Pesach. Is that an appropriate subject matter? What's the relevance of the subject matter of Hilchos Pesach on Purim? There's an amazing Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer wants to know, what is the status of the days after Tisha B'Av until the end of Chodesh Av? We know that Av is a ominous month. It's a month of bad fortune. Is that only until Tisha B'Av, or is it the whole month of Av? So the Magen Avraham says the whole month of Av, even after Tisha B'Av. Says the Magen Avraham, the same way the whole month of Adar is a good omen, the same way the whole month of Adar is a good mazel, so too the whole month of Av is a bad mazel. That's the opinion of the Magen Avraham. To which the Chassam Sofer says you can't compare the end of Av to the end of Adar. First of all, the end of Adar is sandwiched between Purim and Pesach. So it's still good times after Purim. But once Tisha B'Av is over, the bad omen is over. So you can't say it's a time of bad mazel after Tisha B'Av. But then the Chassam Sofer says something even more than that. He says you can't compare after Purim to after Av. You know why after Purim is still a good mazel? Because since there's a halacha, they have to start learning Hilchos Pesach before Pesach 30 days before. Chassam Sofer says a beautiful lashon. We once spoke about this and we offered a different understanding. So that means that Pesach is stretching out its arms. It's saying, learn me, learn me, learn me. And its arms are stretching out until when? Purim. Says the Chassam Sofer, it comes out, Nimtza, Yemei Purim, U Pesach, Chavukim Zeh B'Zeh. Purim and Pesach are hugging each other. Isn't that a beautiful lashon? Isn't that just touching? That it comes out, since there's a halacha, they have to start learning Hilchos Pesach 30 days before Pesach. It comes out that Purim and Pesach are embracing each other. So that's an interesting embrace. That's an interesting relationship. The relationship of Purim and Pesach. So maybe we would like to explore, why is it appropriate to learn Hilchos Pesach on Purim? I mean, if you would see somebody learning Hilchos Tisha B'Av on Purim, you would think that's unusual, that's strange. If somebody was learning Hilchos Rosh Hashanah on Purim, or Hilchos Yom Kippur, but to learn Hilchos Pesach on Purim, what is the appropriateness of doing that? But we see that there's a relationship, there's a connection, there's a deep relationship between Purim and Pesach. They hug each other. Usually days don't hug each other, you know? Does Tuesday hug Wednesday? Today's Tuesday. It's not hugging Wednesday. Does, Lag BaOmer hug Pesach? I don't think so. Does Tzom Gedalia hug Tainus Esther? I don't think so. But Purim and Pesach hug each other. In fact, Rabbi Isai, when we ordain Purim, and we want to know, should Purim be an Adar Aleph or an Adar Beis? So what does the Gemara say? The opinion of Rav Shimon Gamliel is Mismach Geula LeGeula Adif. We want to juxtapose redemption to redemption. What are the two redemptions? Rashi says, Purim and Pesach. As if there's some kind of connection between Purim and Pesach. What's the connection between Purim and Pesach? Purim happened, after the Jews left Mitzrayim. They're in the Midbar for 40 years. We're in Eretz Yisrael for 440 years. Built the first base of Mikdash for 410 years. And then 70 years later, there was Purim. Pesach was many hundreds of years earlier. They don't seem to have anything to do with each other. Yet there's a mandate that we have to juxtapose Purim and Pesach. Furthermore, the Gemara says in Masechta Tainis, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Brei de Rav Shmuel bar Shilas Mishmei de Rav. Rabbi Yehuda, the son of Rav Shmuel bar Shilas, said in the name of Rav, just like when the month of Av comes in, we diminish joy, so too when the month of Adar comes in, Marbin B'Simcha. Yeah, Mishanichnas Adar, Marbin B'Simcha. You know the song? Rafi, sing the song. Go. Very good. Rashi. Mishanichnas Adar, Marbin B'Simcha. When the month of Adar comes in, we increase our joy. So if I were to ask you, in which month do we increase our joy? We say, Adar, Mishanichnas Adar, Marbin B'Simcha. Rashi says, why do we increase our joy in Adar? Yemei Nisim Hayu L'Yisrael. It's days of miracles. Purim u'Pesach. Adar is a very joyous month. Purim and Pesach. What's the obvious question on Rashi?
Why is it bringing in Pesach?
What does Pesach have to do with anything? We're talking about Adar. Why is Rashi saying we rejoice in Adar? Because of Pesach. Pesach is not an Adar. You knew that? Pesach is a Nisan. So why are we saying Mishanichnas Adar? Because of Pesach. In fact, the El Yarabah says, we see from Rashi, that Mishanichnas Adar, Mar B'Simcha, applies to Adar and to Nisan. Okay. When Esther was preparing herself to go into Achashverosh, she was very hesitant. She tells Mordechai, I don't want to do it. It's not for me. It's not for a nice Jewish girl. I can't do it. Don't make me do it. And ultimately, Mordechai convinces her to do it. He tells her, if you're going to be quiet now, Kim hacharesh tacharishi bo'es hazois revach v'hatzala. Now listen very carefully. Mordechai said, if you're going to be quiet now, bo'es hazois, then God will send salvation to the Jewish people from somewhere else, and you will be destroyed. How did Mordechai know she needs to go now? What was special about now that she needed to go now? What's the rush? It's Erev Pesach now. They have a whole year until the Gezerah goes into effect. They could have done it any other time. Why was it so important that she went in now? Says the Medrash, what was Esther doing at the time? What good deed was she doing at the time that this good deed protected her? Look in the Medrash number 11. Shoimer mitzvah lo yeda davara zu Esther shahoisa asuka b'mitzvahs biur chametz. You know what Esther was doing in preparation to going into Achashverosh? She was standing around with the local sanitation of Persia, and they were saying, step back, no flammables, They're telling her, be careful. Only you have to unwrap your 10 pieces from the silver foil. You could throw in your lulav, but no plastic bags. Esther was doing bir chametz. What was Esther doing when she was getting ready to go into Achashverosh? She was burning her chametz. Here it is, the entire Klal Yisrael, their lives are on the line. Does she really want to smell like kerosene going into Achashverosh? That's the mitzvah she wants to do? I could think of cleaner mitzvahs. If you have to go into the king, the last thing you want to do is bir chametz. She's gonna walk in. He's going to ask her, what did you just do? Where did you just go? You were at a campfire or something? And what is Esther doing in preparation for meeting Achashverosh? Bir chametz. You ready for this? Here we go. This Shabbos Achar. Shabbos Achar, we read about destroying Amalek. Why are we reading about destroying Amalek this Shabbos? Why are we reading about destroying Amalek this Shabbos? For what reason? And everyone's going to come to Shul and they're going to make very scary announcements. You have to hear every word. And you have to listen carefully. And if you make any noise, then you're not going to be yotzei the mitzvah. What are we doing out there Shabbos? Why not last Shabbos? Why don't we do it some other time in the year? Anyway, we read Kiseitze at the end of the year. We're going to read it in Elul. So why can't we wait until then? Well, we have to read it again? We're doing it once a year. We do it once a year. We do it in Kiseitze. We did it in Beshalach. Why do we have to read about Amalek? And why do we read about Amalek only once a year? Because it says Zachar. It also says remember that we left Egypt. And Egypt we remember every day. So why do we only remember Amalek once a year? Says the Aruch HaShulchan, we have a tradition. B'Nisan nigalu u'v'Nisan asidun ligal. We were redeemed in Nisan, and we're destined to be redeemed in Nisan. Before we're redeemed, we need to destroy Amalek. So if the Geula and the Beis HaMikdash is going to be built in Nisan, then we need to make sure Amalek is destroyed before Nisan. So therefore we have to read about destroying Amalek in Adar. So what we're doing this Shabbos is in preparation for what's going to happen in Nisan. In Nisan, we're going to build the Beis HaMikdash, the Geula will come, and in Adar, we will destroy Amalek. So since destroying Amalek is in preparation for the Geula, which doesn't happen every day, we only have to remember Amalek once a year. But Yetzias Mitzrayim, it says, Zachar, as Yom Tzezmezem, Kol Yemei Chayecha, all the days of your life. So you have to remember that daily. But Amalek, you only need to remember once a year in preparation for the Geula. So think about it. In order for the Geula to come, we have to destroy Amalek. When do we destroy Amalek? So most people would say, I guess on Shabbos. So you're saying all you need to do is read Zachar Amalek Baderech B'Tzeisachem Mitzrayim, and that's it. And he's done. He's gone. How long does it take to destroy Amalek? We start by reading the Parsha of Amalek. However, you ready for the Chidah? Now, as we get closer to Purim, the Chidah's yard site is the first day you could read the Megillah, Yud Aleph Adar. So Yud Aleph Adar is what? Tuesday? Monday night? Something like that. The Chidah in the Kisei David says something out of this world. He says, Esther, when she was preparing to go into Achashverosh to save Klal Yisrael from Haman, she was burning the chametz. Why was she burning the chametz? Why do we burn the chametz? You ever think about that? Why do we burn the chametz? We have to be mevatel the chametz. We have to burn the chametz. We have to render it ownerless. We have to search for it in the nooks and the crannies. We have to clean and we have to scrape and we have to sell it. I mean, we can't look at it. We can't remember it. We can't think about it. Why? What does the chametz embody? Chametz embodies the sitra achra. The purpose of biur chametz is to be mavatal the yetzer hara and the sitra achra. Who's the sitra achra? Haman, Amalek. Biur chametz is the final blow to Amalek. Biur chametz is not, oh, by the way, Pesach is coming, so you're not to eat chametz, so you have to make sure to burn the chametz. No. Destroying Amalek begins by reading Parsha Zachar, and it culminates with the burning of the chametz. Chametz is the embodiment of the Sitra Achra and Amalek. So actually, destroying Amalek begins with Parsha Zachar, and it culminates with destroying and burning the chametz on Erev Pesach, so that the Geula could come on Pesach. So Purim and Pesach are not two random Yamim Tovim that happen to come out within 30 days of each other. Purim is the beginning of the process, which culminates with Erev Pesach and ushers in the Yom Tif of Pesach. So actually, burning the chametz is the grand finale of destroying Amalek that began on Parsha Zachar. Says the Chida wrote a sefer Kikar La'aden, which are a commentary on Shas and Torah Sheba'al Peh. And in his commentary to Maseches Soifrim, he brings something amazing from the Sefer Masei Rekeach. You know, we have a tradition that the Beis HaMikdash is going to be built on the first day of Pesach. B'Nisan nigalu v'Nisan asidan ligael. And we cannot build a Beis HaMikdash until you destroy Amalek. And then, in that case, when will Amalek be completely destroyed? Yud Daled Nisan. Amalek will be completely destroyed Yud Daled Nisan. When? The night of the 14th, the Chidah says, but what that means is Erev Pesach. Do you think it's a coincidence that Amalek will be destroyed the night of the 14th, and that's the time we do biur chametz? No! By destroying the chametz, that delivers the final knockout blow to Amalek. And then the Chidah brings the great tradition that he has from his great-great-grandfather, the Chesed Avram. If you look at number 20, in the Sefer Leiv David, and in the Sefer Kikar La'aden, the Chidah brings the great tradition of Moiri Zikni, his great-great-grandfather, Rabbi Avram Azulai, who says, we know that when the Jews were in Egypt, they were on almost the 50th level of Tumah. However, in the 30 days before Pesach, each day, God took out the Jewish people from one level of Tumah. So on day 1, he took them out 1/30th of the Tumah. On day 2, the 2nd 30th. On day 3, the 3rd 30th. And every year, annually, 30 days before Pesach, God starts to take out the souls of the Jewish people from Tumah. 1/30th on the first day, another 30th on the second day, another 30th on the third day. Annually, every single year, the Rivan Shalom takes out the Jewish people another increment, another 30th from the levels of Tumah, until Erev Pesach, we are at the precipice of Kedusha, and Amalek falls, and we're ready for Binyan Beis HaMikdash. It's not a coincidence. Oh yeah, we have a tradition, B'Nisan Nigalu, V'Nisan Asidan Ligael, that the Geula will happen in Pesach, and we happen to burn chametz on Erev Pesach, and there happens to be a Yom Tov of Purim 30 days before, and we happen to read Parsha Zachar, and there are all these like unconnected rituals that really have nothing to do with each other. No, there is a progression. There's a progression where Purim leads up to Pesach. Purim begins a process. The process is the destruction of Amalek, which begins with Parsha Zachar, and it culminates when we burn the chametz on Erev Pesach. You know what the Torah says about Erev Pesach? Remember the pasuk? The pasuk says on Erev Pesach, the mashchis is destroyed on Erev Pesach. The forces of evil are eradicated on Erev Pesach. Amalek is gone. Amalek is annihilated on Erev Pesach. It's not just on Purim we annihilate Amalek. On Purim we start the process. It culminates on Erev Pesach. Therefore, you know why You know what protected Esther as she went in front of Achashverosh to plead with him to save the Jewish people from Haman? The fact that Esther was burning the chametz was annihilating the force of Tumah of Haman. It's not a coincidence that Esther was burning the chametz in preparation to save the Jewish people from Haman. Burning the chametz is what empowered Esther to overcome the forces of Tumah of Haman. If you want to know, how did we overcome Haman? By burning the chametz. Haman is the chametz.
So go back to when Mordechai told her she shouldn't sip up. Was she already burning it, or was she going to burn it? Or
it doesn't mean that she was aware even. She wasn't aware. It's not like she went to burn the chametz to destroy Haman. But the Rebbeinu Shem orchestrated that she should be involved in burning the chametz as a way of protecting her and Klal Yisrael from the danger of Haman. This is the idea of the Chida. Ad kedei kach, that, take a look at number 18. Vayomer ki yad al keis ka. We know that the Rebbeinu Shem swears by his throne that he is at war against Amalek. But take a look at the dates given. So one remez, the Gra says, is Purim. Ki yad yodalid. Ka is Tesvav. Those are the 2 days of Purim. Yad is Yodalid and Ka is Tesvav. But it's also, says the Chida, a remez to Yodalid, Erev Pesach. You know when Amalek's going to fall. Vayomer, you know when it's Milchama Hashem Amalek. Yodalid Nisan. In fact, the Chida says an amazing gematria. Ki Yod al Keis is gematria Ze Hiya Yodalid Nisan. You know when there's a war against Amalek, the Chida says in the Kikar La'aden, Ze Hiya Yodalid Nisan. In fact, this idea that Amalek will be completely eradicated on Erev Pesach is sourced in the Tikkunei Zayar in the Hakdama, where he says the siman of Ki Yad al Keska is Ar La'arba Asar Boitkin as Hachametz La'ar Haner. So we view it, there's a Yom Tov of Purim, there's a Yom Tov of Pesach, they have nothing to do with each other. One is a day you dress up in costumes, you're going to dress up like, I don't know who, the old administration, the new administration. You could dress up like Biden, you could dress up like Elon, whoever you want to dress up as, so that's up to you. And then, after you give out the Shalach then you immediately throw everything in the garbage the next day so that you could clean for Pesach. You know, there's one Yom Tov called Purim, and there's one Yom Tov called Pesach, and they have nothing to do with each other. In fact, we need to clean Purim away before we begin preparing for Pesach. No, there is this time period that begins with Purim. It culminates with Pesach. But these 2 days are linked so profoundly that they're literally hugging each other. You know, they're embracing each other. It's a period that begins on Purim. We begin the eradication of Amalek on Purim, and it culminates on Pesach. In fact, there's a sefer that's published by Rabbi Yaakov Hillel called Mekav Tziel, where he brings from Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sefer, grandson of Kaf HaChaim, who quotes another Tikkunei Zayar, that the chametz, the sa'ar, and the chametz are the Erev Rav that we destroy by Yom HaRishon Tashbisu Sa'ar Mibatechem on the 14th of Nisan. And the Erev Rav over here is a reference to Amalek. Like Tikkunei Zayar says, the Erev Rav are Mizara da Amalek. In fact, you ready for this gematria? This comes Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sefer. Again, he's a descendant of the Kaf HaChaim. He wrote many, many Sfarim and pamphlets called Hadar Yaakov. And he says, the gematria of the entire pasuk, Vayomer ki yad al keis ka milchama Hashem ba'amalek midayer dayer. The numerical value of the whole pasuk is Beba Hagoyel Yiakium Mechias Amalek Be'erev Pesach. I knew you thought of that first. Yeah. Okay, the gematria of the whole pasuk of Mechias Amalek is, it will happen when the Gula comes on Erev Pesach. Also, Ki Yad al Keis Ka Melchama L'Hashem Amalek Midardar is gematria Mechias Amalek Bior Chametz. Okay. Here we go. You ready? Fasten your seatbelts. In many Haggadahs, and in our Haggadah, the Art Scroll Haggadah, I wanted to make sure that it included something that I don't think was ever put in the Art Scroll Haggadah. There's a letter written by Rav Shamshin of Ashtapol that is considered a segula, that if you say it on Erev Pesach, you'll live out the year, and your enemies will all have a downfall, and whatever you do, you'll be successful, and everything good will happen. Basically, if you, in number 21, I bring an excerpt of the closing of this letter of Shamshin of Ashtapol. He says, "Acharei zois hoidia oisi raza dana." After the heavens notified me of this secret, shekol hama'ayin b'soid nifla v'noira hazeh al m'chaynai. Anyone who analyzes this wondrous secret, afilu pamachas b'shana, even once a year, uv'chol, especially Arvei Pesach, muftach loy shehu nitzal kol oisa hashana mikol michshal. You are guaranteed you're going to be saved during that year from any stumbling block, umisa meshuna, or unusual death, v'shum oines, and any mishap. V'al yimshu b'oivav, your enemies will not rule over you. V'chol soinav yiplu tachtav, and all your adversaries will fall under your feet. V'chol asher yifnei yatzliach, wherever you turn, you will be successful. So apparently, this letter is a special segula for the downfall of your enemies. Now, what day is it considered mesugal to say this tefillah? Erev Pesach. Rav Moshe Sternbuch says some say it during the day Erev Pesach, some say it Leil Seder. Why do you think there's a special segula to eradicate your enemies and the forces of evil on Erev Pesach? Because that is the day of the year, which is the complete downfall of the forces of evil. It began Parsha Zachar. It got a big head start on Purim, and it comes to culmination on the day that Hashem says, "V'lo yitein hamashchis lavoi el batechem." And when it says about Amalek, "V'haya v'haniach Hashem Elokecha mikol oivecha misaviv," when Hashem gives you respite, then timcha esecha Amalek, meaning there are certain predisposed times during the year that you know the Rebbeinu Shem is giving you special strength to eradicate your enemy. If you want to know what day of the year is most predisposed to eradicate the Jewish enemies, Erev Pesach. It starts Zachar, it culminates Pesach. So my friend, I see he's here, Reb Chaim Zimin, gave me a sefer in Lashon Kodesh and in English, a perush on this letter of Reb Shamshin of Ashtapol. It's called Shemesh U'Magen, Shemesh U'Magen, from one of the Rabbanim in Tveria, and he says this will open up a new vista of understanding of what Mordechai tells Esther in the Megillah. Think about the date. It's Erev Pesach. Says Mordechai to Esther, Kim hacharesh tacharishi ba'es hazois. Esther, dear, if you're going to be silent now, today, Erev Pesach, God will save us. But if you don't take advantage of this opportunity today on Erev Pesach, when it's our best chance to not come on out, you will go down in the annals of history as a failure. Because now's the time. It's now or never. How did Mordechai know that Esther has to go in today, Erev Pesach? Because it's Erev Pesach. And Erev Pesach is the most designated time a year to destroy the enemies of the Jewish people. So, says Hashem Shumagain, for the same reason why Mordechai told Esther, take advantage of the day of Erev Pesach, that's why Reb Shamshin of Ashtapol recommended the recitation of this tefillah specifically on Erev Pesach. So, until you put this together, you decompartmentalize Purim and Pesach. There's this festive Yom Tov of Purim. It's a weekday Yom Tov. You put on your costume, you destroy Amalek. Okay, finished. Now we're up to Pesach. We're not going to eat chametz, and we're anticipating Geula. But we don't see that these 2 days are literally embracing each other. Purim is step one, and Pesach is the knockout punch. The process begins, Parsha Zachar. We begin to read to destroy Amalek. We knock him out more by reading the Megillah. And the process, like the Chesed Avram explains, begins on Purim. On Purim, Hashem takes us out one level of Tumah. From the weekends of Sitra Achra, one level. And on the next day, he weakens him another level. The Chidah says in the Lev David, why is it that just because in Nisan Hashem redeemed us the first time, he's going to redeem us again in Nisan? Because annually, every year, Hashem weakens the forces of Tumah, beginning 30 days before Pesach, beginning on Purim itself, culminating with Erev Pesach. Do you think it's appropriate to learn Hilchos Pesach on Purim? Nothing could be more appropriate when you're eating your Suda to celebrate the beginning of the downfall of Haman. We say, Ribbon Shalom, let's just knock him out already. You know, we're, so to speak, we have our eye on the finish line. We have our eye on the target. The target is we're already learning Hilchas Bedikas Chametz at the Sudas Purim. Oh, what an unusual thing to learn on Purim. It's not unusual at all. Purim is the day we start the process, and we already have our eye on the objective, which is to completely obliterate Amalek, and that takes place when we burn him, we annihilate him, Erev Pesach, and once we annihilate him, then the Binyan Beis HaMikdash occurs the night of Pesach. And do you think it's a coincidence that when we burn the chametz, even though Me'ikar Adin, all you need to do is burn one piece, but in so many households the custom is to have 10 pieces of bread. Why 10? Many Svarim bring that the 10 pieces of bread correspond to the Aseres B'nei Haman, where we have to make sure that there's nothing left of these guys. And the process that we began on Purim, we said, you have to make sure, you knock them all out, b'neshima achas, and they come to full destruction on Erev Pesach, and that's the flow. Beginning with this Shabbos, we start the process. We read the Megillah, we knock him out more. In the 30 days each day, the Sitra Achra is knocked out more. He's completely destroyed Erev Pesach. Beis HaMikdash, Geula happens on Pesach itself. So you say, when do we inaugurate the Beis HaMikdash? We can't inaugurate it on Pesach. So that's why conveniently there's 7 days left after Pesach in Nisan. Those 7 days are reserved for the inauguration of the third Beis HaMikdash. So it comes out, it says the Maseh Rokeach, every single day of Nisan is accounted for as a special day, not to say Tachnon. The first 12 days, the Nesiim brought their karbanos. Day 13, there are many reasons for that. If Pesach comes out on Shabbos, day 13 was the third day of the Milah of Avram Avinu, Erev Pesach. Pesach itself, Beis HaMikdash is built on Pesach, Beis HaMikdash is inaugurated, and the final 7 days after Pesach. So, already from the beginning of Adar is the Chodesh HaShanepach Me'eva Liyam Tov, and this Shabbos already, where we continue in greater intensity the principle of let the good times roll. They start on Shabbos, and Be'ezus Hashem, we hope they come to full culmination with the complete destruction of the Oivei Hashem and the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, B'Yom Rishon Shel Pesach, and the Chinuch in the end of Pesach, Haba Aleinu L'Toiva. Have a wonderful night. Shkoyach. Okay.